Good morning, everyone. Um, my name is Efe, and this is my girlfriend. This is Penelope Cruz from a still of a wonderful movie we are showing on MUBI, a global VOD platform that exists in some 177 countries, but most notably in Turkey. 5 months ago, we launched MUBI in Turkey, completely localized. Right? So that's enough about MUBI. Is this working? Welcome to the revolution, okay? Now, don't be alarmed if you haven't noticed, because technology changes so fast around us that sometimes we don't know what's new and what's really different, okay? But consider this. We are fast approaching a time that more users are going to access internet from their mobile devices than they do from their laptops or PC. Well, I didn't say the mobile device sales is overtaking PC sales. That was so last year, okay? What I said was more people are going to be accessing internet from their mobile devices than they did from their PCs, and that is changing the entire consumer experience of the internet, right? And you only look at the popular uses of internet in Asia to see where all this is going. I spent a lot of time in Asia, right? And I'm fascinated by it for 3 reasons. One, it's a very young population. It's even younger than Turkey. Asia ex-Japan is average 25 years old, right? If you look at the West, it's more than 40 in most Western countries, more than 45 if you go to Sweden, Germany, Italy, and so on and so forth. So that 15 to 28-year difference makes a big difference in the way that you interact with the world around you, right? 2, really fast broadband. Average broadband speed in Tokyo is 63 megabit per second. In Seoul, 41. In London, where I live, 4, right? So that also makes a big difference if you can download an HD movie in about 45 seconds versus 70 minutes. And 3, there's a bit of a healthy disrespect for copyright, right? So the content is available. So you put these 3 things together, and it's an incredible social lab of what's about to come to the rest of the world. Excuse me. And if I can share with you one observation, one thing only, and one thing that you want to get out of this whole presentation, it's this. The web that you think you know no longer exists, okay? And let me tell you a bit about my day. 24 hours ago when I woke up at 7:30 a.m. in London. I woke up and I checked my email on my iPad, read the Lex column on the FT, on my FT app. Then I used Halo to call a cab to go to the airport. On the way there, I checked in to my flight on British Airways using the BA app on my iPhone. When I reached there, I just walked in. In the lounge, I did a Skype call with Japan before I boarded my flight to Istanbul. When I landed here, I used WhatsApp in order to talk to my sister over messaging and showed the address that I'm going to the taxi driver on my Google Map. And then I worked on my keynote at night and synced it with Dropbox at night so that I can access it here this morning. I spent the entire day on the internet, but not the web, okay? In fact, the web is just an application on the TCP/IP protocol called internet, right? But if you look at the numbers, the amount of internet traffic that happens over the, port 8 of HTTP, which is what we call the web, where you Google something, look at a website and check the news or the weather or whatever, that accounts today less than 20% of the entire internet traffic. It's an unbelievable number, okay? And that is diverging even faster right now. But if you think about my day, what else was there? It was mostly on my smartphone, right? The rise of the smartphones. Well, there is going to be 1 billion smartphones in the world, 1 billion smartphones in the world within the next couple of months. 1 billion of them, okay? But to me, the number, okay, that's fine. There's 5 million mobile subscribers. There's all these billions of numbers. But what's really fascinating for me is the amount of processing power that exists on the smartphone today. 1994, when I went from Izmir to MIT, Um, September of that year, that was the month that Netscape was introduced. Mark Anderson launched Netscape, Mosaic. That was that month, and I found myself in the middle of this, and I was fascinated. I really wanted to study architecture, but I was so intrigued by this new thing called the internet that I found myself in the computer science department of MIT. And when you go there, it's a great place, of course. We had the fastest computers. What you're looking at is IBM mainframe S System 390. In the 90s, it was the fastest family of mainframe computers until IBM again introduced the Z architecture, 64-bit. But this was the fastest thing at the time. And the 6752 implementation that was introduced in 1994 when I was there was the fastest computer in the world, and it was right there in our lab, right? And this was no ordinary computer. It had up to 6 CPUs, right? At performance up to 66 millions of information per second, right? 2 gigabytes of memory. You know where I'm going with this, right? Well, this thing in my pocket has more processing power than that mainframe machine. Now, 94 was not that a long time ago, right? And this is not faster. This is a lot faster. The chip inside this, based on an ARM v7 dual-core chip, can perform up to 2,000 millions of information per second. 66 megabit with my fastest computer in the world in college versus 2,000. Now, this is an exceptionally fast device, right? But I'm telling you, an average chip on a low-end smartphone today is faster than the fastest computer back then, right? And you get 1 billion people walking around with the processing speed of an IBM mainframe. And then what you do is you connect them. And that starts getting pretty interesting, right? It is now 1 billion people with this kind of processing power and in their pockets walking around, and that can help solve a lot of very interesting problems. But what kind of problems, right? So as an internet entrepreneur, I think a lot about the consumer experience on the internet. What do people really do? Because what I really believe is future is now, and it's all the interactions that happens around us. What do you think is the #1 use of internet in Asia? Does anybody have a guess? If you speak Chinese, this can give you a clue, right? This is internet in Chinese. This is what internet is written like in Chinese, and it literally means entertainment superhighway, okay? The #1 use of internet in Asia is entertainment, okay? And that's how I started MUBI, actually. I was sitting in a cafe in Tokyo 5 years ago, and I wanted to watch a movie, and there was not a single platform that was available for me to watch a movie. And by the way, this is pre-tablet, pre-App Store, pre-the world changed. And I couldn't believe it. The film business is a $127 billion industry. 52% of it is home video, almost entirely DVD and pay TV, which was obvious even back then that it was going to significantly shift almost entirely to TCP/IP protocol over the next decade. And that was a $65 billion opportunity, and that sounded like a good idea, and we founded MUBI. Okay? And MUBI now has more than 5 million registered members, joint ventures with some of the most significant companies in the world, like Sony and Dolby and so on and so forth, and we are growing really fast. We were 1 million registered members last year, 5 million today. It's going to be very interesting now. But as we grow, where do we grow the business? Where do we grow these internet companies? And there, I'm going to share with you this number. What do you think that is? That's the percentage of global internet users that are in the United States. Okay? This is the rest of the world. Right? So it's very easy to be at Stanford or Palo Alto and think that the center of the universe is in Palo Alto, and in a certain way it is right now with Google and Facebook and so on and so forth. But how long we can expect the US dominance on the internet? Another 10 years? Look at this graph. This is over the past 10 years, the amount of internet users in the United States. Just 10 years ago, it was about 31%. Is anybody seeing a trend here? right? And we thought a lot about where to launch MUBI and where to grow, and we looked at various variables: the economic growth of the country, and how young the population is, what is their propensity to pay online, how media savvy they are, how social media savvy they are, and yes, and if you have a longer-term vision, and you should, if you want to be the best in the world and you want to dominate the world, and we do, then some of these countries are very interesting. Yes, the BRIC ones, obvious. Brazil, Russia, India, and China, but also the missed countries: Mexico, Indonesia, Korea, and Turkey. And I didn't come up with this. It was the same guy, Jim O'Neill, chief economist at Goldman Sachs, who came up with the term BRIC, that came up with the term missed as well, based on significant data analysis. These are the most interesting countries in the world for not just economic growth, but internet. Okay? And I want to leave you with this key message. So this is the second really important thing that I want to share with you. The most powerful future influence on internet will be the digital emergence of the countries outside of the United States. Okay? So what have I said? Let me sum it up. I think it's time we have some Turkish coffee and wake up and realize that it's an extraordinary time, right? Fueled by the growth of smartphones and the processing power in them. And the consumer experience on the internet is really changing, okay? And the most powerful forces on the internet is going to be coming from outside of the United States going forward. It's a great time to be an internet entrepreneur. It's a great time to be in Istanbul. So let's go change the world, okay? Thank you very much.